street language, using pidgin, and people sort of understand what he's saying, we underestimate the level of his genius when it actually comes to the music itself. And so, wherever he is, I want to tell him thank you for the music, for the consciousness, and for giving us Yeni and Shegun and Shegun and Femi. Thank you so much. Yeah. So I'm here to talk about elections, and to be honest with you, while I am hopeful about Nigeria, I keep worrying that we keep having the wrong conversations. Every 4 years, we go through this cycle of hope and despair. We get our hopes up that this election is going to give us this Messiah that is going to come and solve our problems, without looking at the fundamentals of the problems that we face. I was on the platform last week, and my whole speech revolved around unity of purpose. And I'm very happy that my big brother, Dr. Baba Ahmed, spoke a little bit about essentially identity politics. They're the scourge of this country. If identity politics were going to take us to where we should be in Nirvana. Post-independence, we were Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa. Before independence, post-independence, we became Yoruba, Igbo, and Hausa. And 60 years on, the politics has not changed. Because we do identity politics, we've managed to snatch defeat from the jaw of victory, or the other way that they put it. Why do I say this? We have everything we need to build a nation. Today we're still a country, and even that is becoming only in name. We have successfully built a place where a tiny percentage of people make and drive policy based on how much money it will put into private pockets. Not the public. We don't do education anymore based on how many people will go to school. Last week, NNPC discovered a pipe. Think about it, people. 4 kilometers long. Taking out thousands of barrels of petrol over the last 9 years. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, not 8. 9 years. And nobody in the police knew about it. Nobody in the Navy knew about it. Nobody in NNPC knew about it. They lie. They are liars. And while I think petrol is important, we talk about oil and gas, because I think that industry represents everything that is wrong about Nigeria. In looking at that industry, you get to understand why we have failed as a people. You enter the South, there's no drinking water. Fishing is not possible anymore because we've polluted their land. They can't farm. And yet, we say they shouldn't take up arms. And yet, we say they shouldn't complain. And yet, their oil money has been used to build all sorts across this country. How is that possible? But you see, it has nothing to do with the fact that they're Ijaw, because they are Ijaw people chopping this oil money. That's the point I'm trying to make. That the thieves that we have in public office cut across all of Nigeria, so that people sell their own people in order to enrich themselves. You cannot tell me that what is happening in Igboni land is done without certain people from those parts being part of that problem. bandits are now lords. They are getting turbaned. They are receiving traditional title. All the research that has been done shows that they are working with people who are locals. They are informants. They tell them who to kidnap. They help them buy guns. They help them transport it. Nobody is thinking about regular people. Nobody's thinking about Nigeria, like he said. Everything that we do centers around how we personally can benefit. And truth be told, we're all guilty to a certain extent. We've accepted this system, and so what we try to do is to find a way to also benefit from it. I have a friend who's not paid taxes for 5 years. Auditors were sent to his business. It's a small business, it's not big. And he got a tax bill of 15 million. But he was offered the chance to pay 1 million and give 2 million in bribe, and he took it. And when he told me, I said, don't let me ever hear you open your mouth and say to me that Nigeria is bad or Nigeria is corrupt. Because you've just stolen from Nigeria. You might not have done it while sitting in public office, but you've just stolen from Nigeria. And so at different levels, we see this decay that has happened to our institutions, in everything. Even getting admission to university now depends on who you know, not the exams you've passed. And we somehow think we can build a country that way, a nation that way. It's not possible. And so today, I want to talk about elections, but before I do, I really want you to pay attention to what I call unity of purpose. We can't fight and kill ourselves and expect that somehow we will make progress. It is not possible. A house divided against itself cannot stand. Look, even if there are people in this room, let's assume there are some of us who don't believe in Nigeria anymore. We want Oduduwa. We want Biafra. We want Arewa. These sentiments are valid. The right to self-determination is sacrosanct. People should be able to say what they want for themselves. But how are you going to do it in any sort of structured way? You have to have unity. You must all agree that we want to test the fact that the people of the East want their own nation called Biafra. We want to give them a referendum. To do that, you need to get your National Assembly to build it into your constitution. You cannot do anything worthwhile without unity. It's become a dirty word in Nigeria. You know, when you talk about unity, someone like me in the north, I'm told, oh, it's because, you know, you are the ones benefiting from Nigeria, blah, 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 blah. Actually, no, I haven't benefited from Nigeria. My people are dying of hunger. They've been kidnapped. They can't go to their farms. So don't tell me I've benefited from Nigeria. My issues are very similar to the issues of the young man who's looking and thinking Biafra is his answer. And if Nigeria were functioning, my state would actually be extremely wealthy. Because we have gold, we have cobalt, we have farmland, we have all the things that are required to build a successful community. In fact, when I was growing up in Zamfara, and it wasn't a state at that time, the capital city called Gusau was part of wider Sokoto state. I will tell you what we had. We had a functioning rail line. We had Tata Lai Sugar. We had John Holt. We had Michelin tires. We had ginneries that were extracting oil for export. We had tanneries that were treating skin and exporting it to Spain for leather. We had a really small, successful town that was very cosmopolitan because the rail lines also brought people from Ogbomoso who came and settled because it was a small trading town. where you did cotton, you did leather, like I said, and a whole bunch of other things. So the Zamfara I grew up in is very different from the Zamfara that my children see when they go to visit their grandmother. But you see, my children also happen to be from Akure. So you see, for me, this issue of unity in Nigeria and why it matters is very personal. I have relationships across this country that are significant. And everywhere I travel, the story is the same. People want to be able to live in security. They want to be able to live in dignity. They want to be able to not have to suffer in order to feed their families. Men want to be head of families that walk into their homes with their head held high because they can feed their children. Because Nigeria is broken. We see it in big ways, we see it in small ways. We see it in the number of families that are now turning to their daughters to feed them, selling their body. We do these stories as journalists every day. And it is not an isolated case anymore. This is now the reality of the majority of our people. And you can't keep telling me that a Hausa resident who is busy jetting up and down with his children has anything in common with the children that I see in Zamfara who are not going to school, who are holding bowls begging for food. You can't. But when you come to do your politics, you lump all of us in the same category. And let me tell you, it's deliberate. There's nothing accidental about identity politics. It's that same divide and rule that the British used effectively that is being used against us. I find it shocking that we continue to fall for it. Even among the most educated among us, the language now, the discourse, the conversation revolves around Muslim, Christian, Hausa, Fulani, Yoruba, Igbo. Why are we so stupid? If it was going to work, it would have worked. We've been doing it for 60 bloody years. Forgive my language. It hasn't given us the country that we want. Isn't it time to start thinking differently? And so, these elections are important because they could symbolize a turning point. But what I'm saying is that there are fundamentals that need to change. Otherwise, in 4 years, we're going to be here again looking for another Messiah. They don't exist. They don't. What you have are a people who should be prepared to hold the people they put into positions of authority accountable, regardless of where they come from. The whataboutism that happens in Nigerian politics is annoying. They arrest somebody, he has stolen money, and what about? And let them deal with that one, then they can get to the other one too. So I guess if there's anything I really want to say is that in going to the polls, it's really important to interrogate everybody that presents themselves. I think the greatest tragedy in this country is that we don't have internal party democracy. And so every time we go to the polls, the choices, in my view, are less than stellar. It's almost as if people are determined to give us the worst of Nigeria to lead us. And so we have to choose somebody who will come in and allow for the reforms that are required in the next 4 years. I believe in that. We now have legislation that has said local governments should be autonomous. We want the person who will allow that to come to being. in the real sense, so that power is closer to the people. And we want a center that looks after the big things. So in talking to people who want to become president, please, can we focus on asking the questions that will help us determine whether they will have the political will to allow us the things that we need to do in order to make this country work. And I know we've kept to sort of focus on the presidency, but hey, your governors have power, serious power, and they have big money. If you look at the budgets and the way they are disbursed, you understand that actually it isn't fair to always blame everything on the center. So can you also focus on your state governors and the people you're putting in those positions? Because that too makes a huge difference to what happens in this country. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.